Meeting will come to order. Clerk call the roll.
Mayor Manning,
Present.
Councilman Petroselli,
In favor. Oh, I'm sorry. Present. Yep.
Councilman
Present.
McGraw.
Present.
That was a good one. I knew you had that, man.
Well, it's kind of a positive response. Would the clerk please read the minute from our last meeting?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the previous minutes.
Second that.
Accept them as written. Call the roll.
Mayor Manning,
In favor?
Councilman Petroselli,
In favor?
Councilman McGraw.
In favor.
Let's go to, do you have any reports, Mark? On your first night here?
I'm sorry.
Any reports?
No.
All right, Dave, let's go to old business.
The first old business is public hearing number 1, which is a public hearing for the purposes of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding the submission of a community development block grant application for housing rehabilitation in the amount of $500,000 with the principal purpose of benefiting low to moderate income persons.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Dave, do you have a presentation with this, or?
Just a quick sheet right here.
Read that as an intro, and then we'll hear some comments, yeah?
Yes. Yep. So the purpose of the hearing is to provide the public the opportunity to comment on Waterleak's community development program and the proposed community development block grant application for housing rehab projects in 2019. The city was notified by the Office of Community Renewal that there are grants out there available. We're looking to apply for one for $500,000 for housing rehab. This grant will focus on senior citizen homeowners and veteran homeowners. It applies to 1- and 2-family owner-occupied homes, and it's for low and moderate homeowners only, and it's a maximum of $25,000 per grant per home. The application, the funding comes through the New York State Homes and Community Renewal through the Office of Community Renewal. The grant application is due on December 6, 2019, and grants are competitive among communities throughout the state. And it's anticipated that if we are successful with this funding, we will have the money probably sometime early second quarter of 2020. That's all we have.
Okay, so it's a requirement for the state that we have a public hearing on this. Is there anyone that wants to speak on the topic Dave just introduced? Our plans for the CDBG this year.
I have a question on it. It's only for 1- or 2-family owner occupied, a 3-family owner occupied would not be eligible?
That's
Can
correct.
you just state your name for the record and your address?
Timothy Weaver, 1436 First Ave.
Thank you.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other? Kind of straightforward, huh?
Let me stand up there. Don Whitehead, 1921 8th Avenue. I'm in favor that the city goes after the grant.
Okay, Mr. White is in favor of the grant, going after it. You didn't hear back there. Anyone else? That's a good one to end on. Public hearing.
Okay. Rather, the next order of business is ordinance number 2013, which is a second reading. This is an ordinance of the City of Watervliet, New York, amending Chapter 266, Water Code of the City of Watervliet, regarding establishing and imposing water rates for the water billing periods of November 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2020, and May 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2020.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance 2013.
Second that.
Any discussion? This is the second reading because the previous vote wasn't unanimous on the first reading, so do we need any more discussion? Call the roll, Dave? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm out of the speed. Is that the increase of 11%?
on here?
12%, yes.
Pardon me?
It's 12%.
12%? Has anyone considered, rather than increasing it 12%, to have a flat fee for 1 year to get by whatever disaster you have? Because I think if you raise it, you're never going to take it off, I don't believe. So has any consideration been given to the flat fee? Or that's not reasonable?
It's a good idea, but it's not any consideration in the ordinance that we're reading right now. We did have a public hearing on it, and that idea wasn't offered either.
Technically, it is a flat fee because it's got to be reapproved next year anyway.
It's a flat fee for 1 year.
Right.
Where did the extra 1% come from?
That was, it was,
Last week.
the 11% was just a bad figure that was floating up. I don't know where, it just took a life of its own. It was, I think we started with saying 11 or 12, and then 11 took off and ran. But the rate's the same as it was read previously. It's just calculation was incorrect. It's assuming it was 11%.
My stance still stands that I believe we should go 5.5%, not the full 12% now. We have too many seniors here in the city. I think 12% is way too high. Can you hear me?
No.
My hand's not on. Hello?
Just get closer.
That phone. Go ahead. That's it, Mike, please.
Okay. Call the roll.
Mayor Manning.
In favor?
Councilman Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrath.
Against.
Your Honor, the next order of business is ordinance number 2014, which is an ordinance of the City of Watervliet directing and authorizing the city clerk to advertise that the City of Watervliet will sell certain surplus vehicles.
Question. Mark, you said these are going to go recyclables?
I'm sorry?
Now they're up for sale?
Yeah, so there's a progression that we have to go through first. We have to offer them for auction first, and then we can start moving on either scrapping them or doing something else after the auction. The auction has to go first, then if we don't have any bids from the auction, then we can start moving forward on getting rid of the vehicles.
Oh, all right, well, do you want to move on this and then we can have some more discussion?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2014 as read.
I second that.
Do you want to give a little background on what the overall
Sure.
thing is, Mark?
So for the purposes of the people in the audience here, we have 12 vehicles that are vehicles that we don't use anymore. They either don't run, they've been abandoned either in the park. There's a couple up at the filtration plant, a couple behind the firehouse, the city garage. They decline more and more every year. We don't move them. So originally what I wanted to do was just hook up with our towing company, have them scrap because 4 or 5 of them have gone to auction already. We had no bidders on them. But there's a process that we have to go through. So we have to put them out for bid. Then if nobody bids on them, then we can kind of move forward in getting rid of them. So this is the first step in the process, to put them out there, try to solicit active bids for the vehicles as is, and then if we don't have the bids, then we can move forward in the process of trying to scrap the vehicles.
But didn't we already go through this process previously? I don't know about every vehicle.
Right.
We did, and we advertised through that, what is it, the municipal auction? It was an online.
Right.
Isn't that qualified and to get rid of what we had?
But it doesn't include all the vehicles. It was
Right.
only 4 vehicles at that time.
Okay.
So it just seemed that it'd be easier for us just to advertise all the vehicles
Okay.
and just handle it all in one.
Are all of them in worse condition as the original 4?
I believe so. Some of them run, but they're not vehicles that we would use on a daily basis.
I'm all in favor of getting rid of them.
Let's prove that right now. Call the roll.
Mayor Manning.
In favor?
Councilman Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrattan.
In favor.
Your Honor, that's all the old business we have this evening.
Let's go right into new then, Dave.
All right, new business, resolution number 9674. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby authorizes the issuance of $406,000 in serial bonds to finance a capital project described in the combined sewer overflow long-term control plan.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 9674 as written.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
This is requirement to submit this resolution is required to submit an application to EFC to do the financing for the next portion of the project that's actually in Albany right now. I think it's like a $45 million project. But our percentage of that project is, which is 1.16%, I believe. It's the $406,000 that we're submitting to finance through EFC. It's hopefully a better rate than we can get at market. And also, we can pay it, they can be stretched out over a long period of time, 30 years, I believe. But it's the next level. It's the B, I believe it's the Beaver Creek portion of the CSO project, the long-term control plan.
That makes sense? So, a number of years ago, the EPA and DEC put all the communities along, well, not all of us, but there's a group of communities along the river that have combined sewer overflows that could contribute pollution into the river if we have severe storms. And instead of having us take them all out and eliminate the problem, they instituted a series of projects that had to be done. And we, instead of each community paying their own, we pooled together and we have a share of paying that to satisfy the consent order that EPA put us under. So it's done by population. We've got some projects paid for. The real money's being spent in Albany, Troy. They have the most combined sewer overflows. We have signed an agreement to join this pool so that we could all negotiate with EPA and strengthen numbers. So there's a monetary contribution to be part of that pool. And that's what we're voting on now, to pay our next share.
One of the last projects we used was the Third Avenue project, right?
One of the last projects was Third Avenue project. A project to remove stormwater from the combined sewer so they won't, less chance of overflowing into the river. Good point. Okay, good. Call the roll, Dave.
Mayor Manning.
In favor?
Councilman Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrattan.
In favor.
The next is resolution number 9675. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby approves and authorizes Mayor Michael P. Manning to execute an intermunicipal agreement between the County of Albany and the City of Watervliet regarding a joint special weapons and tactics team.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Discussion?
So in this situation, we have one member of the police department that's a certified hostage negotiator, and this agreement allows us to lend that hostage negotiator to the Albany County Special Weapons and Tactics teams, so he can not only learn his skills, but also go for additional training and become better at his job. So this is basically us lending him, in case there's an event in anywhere in Albany County, he would respond to that, and he also gets the benefit of doing additional training and job experience through that process. I'm sorry, Brian. Still your thunder.
Spoken like a former chief.
Ditto. That good?
Good.
Call the roll, Dave.
Mayor Manning.
In favor?
Councilman Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrattan.
In favor.
The next is Resolution 9676. This is two parts. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby accepts the bid from Holland Chemical Company Incorporated, 153 Holland Avenue, Adams, Mass, in the amount...
Sure.
In the amount of .165 wet pounds for the year 2020, .175 wet pounds for the year 2021, and .185 wet pounds for the year 2022 for the furnishing of polyaluminum chloride for the City of Watervliet Water Department. This bid was deemed the lowest responsible bidder in conformance with the specifications, and Mayor Manning is hereby authorized and empowered to execute a contract with Holland Chemical Company.
I'd like a motion to accept resolution number 9676 as written.
I'll second it.
So these are chemicals that we put out to bid every year that we use to purify and treat our water. And actually, I believe there's two chemicals that we received bids on. We still have to send out again a bid for chlorine because we didn't get any bids on the chlorine. But that's not an anomaly. There's been years in the past. Because the chlorine prices fluctuate so much, they're not always apt to bid through the first bidding process. So in this resolution, we accept the bids for the two chemicals, and then we have to put out the bid for chlorine.
I jumped the gun on there, there's a back page of writing.
Okay. The second part of this is the Council of the City of Watervliet hereby accepts the bid from Karis LLC from Peru, Illinois, in the amount of 1.04 pounds for the year 2020, 1.06 pounds for the year 2021, and 1.08 per pound for the year 2022 for the furnishing of zinc phosphate to the City of Watervliet Water Department. This bid was deemed the lowest responsible bidder in conformance with the specifications, and Mayor Michael P. Manning is hereby authorized and empowered to execute a contract with Karis LLC.
Motion to
I have a motion to accept.
I have a question. I have a question on it. And I'm not a futures expert, and nor with the chemicals, and I have no idea, like $1.04 per pound, and how many pounds that represent in the sense of, is it 100 pounds, 5,000 pounds, or 3 million pounds? But and it's only a few pennies difference between the two. Is it necessary to, and I'm not trying to do it now, but is it necessary to go out 3 years? I mean, is it a yearly thing that you look at and say, hey, you know, it's a yearly pound, what is it? I mean, it just seems like they're automatically just increasing it arbitrarily, a couple cents here and there. And whether or not that's the actual, you know, future cost, could be higher, then again, could be lower. But it was just a thought in the conversation when I was looking at this.
And
Anybody know?
what's the amounts do we use, by the way?
I can make something up. I have no idea.
And I think it's pretty standard. Dave's been doing this for a long time, and but I think it's something that kind of would be looked at. It'd be nice to know next year, hey, it's a future number.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really no,
Well, we can have, an offline discussion with Dave to see if he thinks it's in our best interest to do this yearly or to do 3-year bids. So.
I would think they have to make it mass quantities and we have to lock it in.
I don't know, yeah,
But-
it's a question.
Can't hurt to ask a question.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Good.
I'm good.
So you made a motion.
Yes.
Did you second it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mayor Manning,
In favor?
Councilman Petroselli,
In favor.
Councilman McGrattan.
In favor.
The next is resolution number 9677. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby declares itself lead agency with respect to the environmental review of the amended Albany County intermunicipal agreement and memorandum of understanding to continue an existing coalition for cooperation of issues related to stormwater management. Finds and concludes that the proposed action is an unlisted action and based upon its thorough review of the potential areas of environmental concerns and its compliance of the short EAF Part 2, hereby concludes that the proposed project will result in no significant adverse impacts to the environment and therefore an environmental impact statement needs not be prepared, makes a negative determination of environmental significance in accordance with the seeker and issues a negative declaration.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Okay, what we've been doing for these seeker negative declarations is actually reading into the record why we're saying so. Again, this is an action where we're renewing a memorandum of understanding that deals with stormwater handling, so I'll read through these and you can see that the choices are, is there no or small impact or moderate to large impact on these topics? And we're saying no to these. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No, it's an agreement. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? That's not applicable here, so that's no. Will the proposed action result in any adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? No. Will the proposed action cause any increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? It's not applicable. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies? No. Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources like wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Actually, it's working on combating those. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. So by passing this resolution, we're answering no to all these questions.
Yeah, so if I could just add just one thing. The next resolution is going to be a resolution for the council to consider approving and authorizing the mayor to sign an amended Albany County intermunicipal agreement regarding stormwater management. So before we do that, this resolution deals with, it's required to do an environmental review of that project, which is authorizing the amended agreement. And really what it is the City of Waterville is a member of the Stormwater Coalition of Albany County, and this was a request from Dave Dressel, who works for the City of Waterville, who's also our representative on the Stormwater Coalition. There's already an existing agreement. The Coalition Board of Directors determined that amendments were necessary for the agreement. So in order to consider approving the amended agreement, this resolution right now is just the environmental review pursuant to SEQR, the State Environmental Quality Review.
Questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mayor Manning,
In favor?
Councilman Petroselli,
In favor.
Councilman McGrath.
In favor.
Next order of business is resolution number 9678. The Council of the City of Waterville hereby approves and authorizes Mayor Michael P. Manning to execute an amended Albany County intermunicipal agreement and memorandum of understanding to continue an existing coalition for cooperation on issues related to stormwater management.
I'd like a motion to accept resolution number 9678 as written.
I'll second it.
Discussion? I think you ought to just explain this. Okay, call the roll.
Mayor Manning,
In favor?
Councilman Petroselli,
In favor.
Councilman McGrath.
In favor.
Resolution number 9679. The Council of the City of Waterville hereby authorizes David Wheatley, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that sealed bids will be received in the City Clerk's office of the City of Waterville until 10 a.m. on November 20th, 2019 for one Hitchdock HDS 9200 hydraulic snowblower for the City of Waterville Department of Public Works. Specifications for this item will be on file and publicly exhibited at the City Clerk's office. during normal business hours. The Council of the City Ward of Leek reserves the right to waive any information in the bidding or reject any and all bids submitted.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve this resolution as read.
I second that.
Discussion?
So this is a process that we have to go through to make a purchase of large ticket items, this in particular being a blower, a snow blower that goes on the front of our large loader. We used to have the orange snow blowing machine that is no longer functional, so this is going to be used in place of that. But we have to go through the process, go out and accept bids, and then take a look at the bids once they come in.
Is this one of the blowers that blows the snow into the truck?
Yes.
We had talked about this before, it is not on state contract?
Is it on state contract?
I don't believe that it is.
Mark?
My understanding.
No, you don't have to bid if it is.
Well, there's issues one way or the other, so we're just going to put it out there.
I didn't hear what you said.
There's issues one way or the other, so we're just putting it out to bid.
Okay.
Is that correct? We're putting out the
Yeah,
bid?
yep.
Okay.
When in doubt, leave it out.
And this is chips, right, Mark?
Yes.
So it's budget neutral. We're using chips money to purchase.
Okay, Dave, call the roll.
Make a comment.
Okay.
First that comes to my mind, you got that orange machine down there, it doesn't have that many hours on it. Would it be feasible to get that thing fixed rather than buying a new piece of equipment?
Hank, there's a question up here. Is it feasible to get the orange thing fixed?
Probably close to the same price as the attachment.
To fix it will cost the same as the
Probably
attachment?
close to it.
How old is that?
1969.
69.
How many hours on it?
That I'm not sure of.
I still remember Ed Koeman riding it. Driving it.
We're making a decision.
And you're making a comment, and we're listening. Okay. Call the roll, Dave.
Mayor Manning?
Favor?
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor.
Councilman McGrath?
In favor.
Resolution number 9680, the Council of the City Ward of Leek hereby approves and adopts the mission statement of the City Ward of Leek Tree Committee.
Make a motion to accept resolution number 9680 as written.
I'll second it.
So this is a mission statement that was created by the tree committee, and what this does is it gives us a little bit more background as to what the functions of their committee are going to be, but it also helps us move forward to applying for future grants for the committee itself.
Good.
Dave, call the roll.
Mayor Manning?
In favor?
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor.
Councilman McGrath?
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes the new business on this evening's agenda.
Okay. Appropriations and accounting? We have none?
We have no appropriations and accounting for this evening.
Okay. Roll into, got a couple?
Yeah, just a couple of comments and thoughts on it. First, I'd like to thank the residents of the City of Ward of Leek for electing me Tuesday to become the next mayor of the City of Ward of Leek. I do appreciate it. So I look forward to serving in that capacity. The couple of questions, I also want to make an announcement that because of the tree committee, we did have a nice ceremony today from Capital Roots. We want to mention that. We had over 50 trees planted from Capital Roots throughout the city, so I think that was a great tribute to the environment, and I want to mention about the Capitol.
Right. We took advantage of the same ceremony to accept our recertification from New York State DEC. As a climate smart community, we were one of the first ones to get certified when the program launched, and we were up for recertification, and we're able to do that again. And things like the tree committee and what we're doing with Capital Roots fit into that and prepare us for recertification when that comes up again.
Dave, I wanted to ask you a question on, can you tell us the status now of the church?
Say again, I'm
The
sorry.
church, the historic church, the Dutch Reformed Church?
The work started yesterday. They're putting in the roof, and they've done some foundation work on it. And they expect to be done again within probably 3 weeks or a little more.
So structurally, we're okay?
Yes.
There was a problem with the wall.
I think they're fixing part of that wall, right?
Which
The wall? The wall in the back? I think there was a wall in the back that had to be repointed, remember?
In the back, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is fixable by repointing it, yes.
So, bottom line is, you're going to keep the building and restore the building.
I think that's bottom line right now, yes. Right, there's a proceeding right now to put the roof back on.
I don't understand the thinking. You know, you need parking in the area, you got a building that they have no use for, I don't believe. I mean, what do you think you'd use the building for? Not that I'm trying to convince you to take the building down, we're just trying to be practical.
You're going to be on that committee.
I'm going to say,
You're going to find the
if I
use
was
for
on
it.
the committee, I'd recommend you take the building down.
Can you note that Mr. Bevan would have that taken down, Dave?
Yep.
The one other item that I wanted to bring up, many months ago, we talked about paving 8th Avenue from 1st Street to 8th Street. And we had to go through Colony,
Well, it's half theirs.
half theirs, or even, from what we're told, is even most of theirs. Do we have a process in place? Have we had any contact with them? I know maybe right now is not the best time to go up and talk to Paul, but we might want to have that conversation soon. I mean, because I'm sure that they're planning for what they're planning on doing with their CHIPS money next year or whatever.
Yeah, we can start that process.
I know Jeremy had mentioned that, but I don't know how far he got on it.
An initial meeting on it, which was a positive response, but didn't cough up any money.
Right. And that's all I have.
Good ones. All right. Let's go to public comment period. You got one?
Yes. So we met with DOT in regards to the bike trail. So there was a disparity between the lowest bidder and what we actually got from the grant for the bike trail. It was about a $500,000 disparity. So the lowest bidder was $5,000 higher than what we got for the grant. 500,000. Yep. So when we met with DOT, DOT is going to give us the ability to accept that bid. They're going to provide us with the additional funding to meet the lowest bid. There's going to be an issue that we have to deal with from a funding standpoint because the funding stream that we're using is Marticelli funds, which allows us to only have to pay a 5% match. Marticelli is actually 20%, so 80% is funded by the federal government, 20% by the state, and we pay 5% of that 20%. This additional $500,000 will apply under the Marticelli grant. Unfortunately, based on when that funding comes out, we will probably have to front it and then get paid back through the Marticelli grant. So we just have to make sure when we move through the process and we do the resolution that there's an understanding that that 20% will be our responsibility until we receive the money back from the state.
5%.
15% actually. So we have to pay 5%. 20% federal, or 80% federal, 15% state, 5% us.
Yes, sir.
Is that part of the tree removal that's already taken place?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't we know about this before that project was started?
What's that?
Or did we? The extra money that it's going to cost, the grants.
We bid the job and the bids came in different than the estimates.
It was budgeted for a certain number, and then that's what they approved, and then we just went out to bid for it. That's what,
So the trees were taken down before the bids came in? That's what you're saying?
yes. And the reason for it was, according to the experts, those trees had to be taken down during a certain time of the year to protect the bats, I believe.
Protect the what?
The bats. the bats, because some of those trees were harbored bats, and so there's specific, there's other trees that can be taken down, but these were specific for that purpose.
The plan was to have the construction start this year, so take the trees down when you could, do the construction, restore the trees when we get it back, when we get the construction done.
What's gonna happen with the stumps? Are they gonna be pulled or are they gonna be ground?
And I don't know.
It's part of the bid process, grinding is part of the bid process.
It's a good update. Thank you.
Veteran banners, going to be taken down starting Tuesday. So you see the veterans banners taken down for the winter starting on Tuesday.
Gonna leave the brackets up.
So here's what we're going to do.
I'm
From
waiting.
19th Street North, we're going to leave the brackets up as a test for this year. From 19th Street South, we're going to take the brackets down, and then we're going to assess it next year to see what the disadvantage is for us leaving the brackets up.
Brackets, aluminum or
I
steel?
use my Don Whiting theory going into that.
Are you keeping track of the time to take them down? Are you keeping track of it?
We
I didn't hear.
keeping track of how long it takes us to take them down.
As part of the assessment.
As part of the, yes.
Well, taking them down is kind of the easy part, it's really putting them back up. Putting them back up is the labor intensive.
What would be the purpose of just leaving them up to see what it would be? We know that they'll be left up and that there's,
The concern is if they incur damage, we don't want them all to incur the damage, so if we just did half of them, at least we know half of them would still be intact. There was always the theory about taking them down, that if we didn't take them down, that they would incur damage over the winter. So at least if we split it, we know we're not wrecking all of them.
see, I know mostly every community leaves them up, and I know Troy doesn't even take their banners down.
Right.
So their brackets are
But
just.
the brackets are protected with the banner on it. With the banner off of it, we don't have the same amount of protection.
What's the composite of the metal of the bracket?
Composite?
Yeah, what is it made of?
Aluminum, steel.
Stainless, iron?
Do we have a metallurgist here?
Thank you.
I think it's cast aluminum, too.
Cast aluminum.
Cast aluminum.
Yes, I believe so.
To be honest with you, I never heard of
That's
cast
a brand
aluminum.
Never heard of it?
No, I'm
What are your car wheels made out of?
not a metallurgist, but I never heard of cast aluminum.
Go out in that parking lot.
Hard to cast aluminum, I think, cast aluminum.
Go out in the parking lot and look at those tires on them fancy cars.
Cast aluminum?
Cast aluminum. All right, well,
You know more than I.
come back here in like 1 year when this assessment is released. A 60-page report Hank's putting together on the assessment. Anyway, let's hear what you guys have to say. Dave, open the public comment period.
Sure. At this time, the council has authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, you must step forward, state your name, address for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the council on any matters you wish.
You have to get this over. It's the only time we can do it.
Lady Gerano, 1124 7th Avenue. I want to kind of go back to this ordinance 2013. This is about the water bills. So what is the story now? It's not going to be increased by 11%? Is that the story? What is the story?
By 12.
It's going to be increased by 12?
Correct.
Okay, even though it was 2 to 1, the vote?
Yes.
Okay, it carries. So it is. Okay, that's, because I couldn't get head or tail to that. Okay, so that's good. We don't have to use any of our funds that we've kept in stock there. I also want to have an update on the reservoir, how clean the reservoir is at this particular time, how's the water chestnuts and the Alps, how are we looking? And one other thing I wanted to bring up, I've noticed a couple of times I've come to council meetings, and it appears that there's a presentation before the council meeting, which I didn't have any idea about, and I asked a few people and they didn't seem to. Where is that advertised? Is it open to the public?
Yes.
Okay, how do we know about it?
It was mentioned at a past meeting, and they had a list of the dates and times, and whoever presented
Because I
it.
missed that. Okay. I was just wondering, because I've noticed a lot of times I come in and you're already involved in a presentation. I didn't know you were going to do it. Okay.
Technically, this is the last one. We don't have any other early presentations on the budget.
Okay, okay. So I'd just like an update on the reservoir, just always thinking about our water supply. Got an update?
Not at this time, apparently.
Yeah. We're going to consult with Dave Dressel, and then we'll get back to him.
Okay.
Paul Juban, 1500 12th Avenue, Waterville. I'd like to know the status of the boulevards, ongoing problem. Has National Grid been notified? Have they responded? What is the status? The restoration for the excavator. We brought this up before, must have felt on deaf ears. Anyone have any comment on it? Yes, not.
I do have one comment. I didn't know if anybody else had it, but I did run into Bob Chevy, and I'm going to meet with him next week just to have a conversation about the boulevards, because I believe Jeremy had said that there was a restoration, fall restoration that they were going to do, and we're just going to talk about that.
No, let's start. Potholes. We brought this up how many times? Winter's coming on, plants will be closing. Don't you think it should be addressed instead of this winter going around putting a coal patch in? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Again, it's being on top of things. I was going to bring up the church, but it was addressed. But I'd like to put the pressure on the newly elected mayor, see if he could get a new PA system in here so everyone could hear. Do you agree that we need a system? So, Mayor, you got your first challenge already. Thank you.
Mr. Katie, can you address this pothole situation?
If you can send me a list of them, yeah. Of where the big concern is.
I could do that if you
That's
put me on the
fantastic,
payroll.
One of the things I'd like that we talked about, we hashed around the work order system for. One of the things we talked about before is we hashed around that work order system a lot. And what I've been trying to play with, and I'll talk more with them later, but I'm trying to introduce an email address, specifically workorder@waterville.com, and that will generate a work order. And if a work order is placed, it'll actually be recorded, and it could be forwarded to anybody who has to address that. Could be the water, could be DPW, could be anybody else. So at least it's a start until we get the new system in place for possibly the new software.
Okay. Anyone else? Doesn't look like anyone's going down. Are we going to go?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll close the public comment period. Closing the public comment period, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss a labor issue. And we need everyone up at the head table to attend. And invite Mr. Brian Kremer, adjunct corp counsel, for this purpose. I made a motion. How about a
I'll second.
second? Call the roll, Dave.
Chairman,
In favor?
Councilman Patricelli,
In favor.
Councilman McGraw.
In favor.
We're adjourning. And we need to leave the room. We have executive session.